Hello and welcome to Queenie's Patreon only continuation of our Meanings of the Tarot and Tarot class. Today's tarot card that we are exploring is the High Priestess card. We've done the Fool, which is kind of the launch, the beginning. We've done the Magician, which is the planting the seed and the focus, funding the energy together. And now we are hitting the High Priestess card. And the High Priestess card is pregnant with knowledge. So the High Priestess, this part of the manifestation process is where you do the research, you gather the research, and you allow things to unfold within. This is not a real external card. This is more of a internal kind of she's brewing card. Whereas the Magician gathers all the tools available externally and funds that energy and kind of germinates the seed. This is after the seed's been germinated and the wisdom that unfolds within from it. Okay, so this is the High Priestess card. Let me show you some examples in different decks of what the High Priestess card looks like. Now, it doesn't look the same in every single deck. So I will show you the one from the most common tarot deck, and then we'll go and look at the ones from other tarot decks, and then we'll go and we'll talk about the meanings that show up in books on the tarot as to what the High Priestess means. My initial interpretation goes along with how I see the major arcana, which these are about our soul evolution. This is, I call it like a manifestation spiral. It's like a spiral cycle. Okay, this is the beginning of the spiral cycle. We are just at the beginning. So let's go and grab, this is the Rider-Waite deck, but it is kind of a fancy printing of it. So this is the High Priestess card that you might normally see this is one of the most common or widely used tarot decks, is the Rider-Waite deck. What's funny is I used to have a deck years and years ago called the Hanson and Roberts deck, and now they're calling that the Rider-Waite deck as well. And it doesn't look like this. It only sort of looks like this. But the symbolism is there. So you've got the two columns, and the two columns represent inner and outer, and it represents the balance between the inner and outer. It represents the balance that's needed. It's like, so you launch off as the Fool, you plant the seed as the Magician, and then you create balance within. And that's what the High Priestess is all about, is this balance within. So you notice her crown. She's associated with the moon, and the moon is associated with the ebb and flow of things, the tides, the balance of that, you know. And I am going to have to look deeper into the card about, because I don't remember B and J, but I am going to find out for you. I have a feeling that it's that it has something to do with the Kabbalah. So, and she's got, as you can see, there's pomegranates, and that's her fruit. And you can also tie that into mythology. Persephone core, her fruit, the reason that she ended up having to stay down in the underworld for 6 months out of the year was because she ate a couple pomegranate seeds that that Hades gave her because he wanted her to stay. And so her mother negotiated to let her be up above the ground in the outer world with her mother for 6 months out of the year, and that she would stay with Hades for the other 6 months out of the year in the underworld, because that was the deal that they struck, and that was the way that they explained the seasons, so the balance of the seasons. Anyway, so that was kind of a sidetrack, but here's the high priestess. Here she is. And so she's got a moon, a full moon. It looks like she's got a bunch of the different, maybe a few of the phases of the moon. She's got some crescent moon. She's got a crescent moon down here. She is holding the, let's look at which book she's holding. She's holding the Torah. And she's also got a cross. So they did a lot of symbolism, meaning that she was a holy person and chaste and untouched. But the symbolism for her is that she is pregnant with knowledge. She knows, this card has an understanding. They have an understanding that we are walking libraries. We have knowledge within us that is untapped, and she taps into it and studies it. She's the priestess. She is the one that has reverence for all life and all knowledge. All right, so we're gonna look at the meaning, and then we're gonna go and look at the other types of cards. So this was the Rider-Waite deck. This is this is the one that I've most commonly seen. Okay? So let's see. So the basic keywords for the High Priestess card is intuition, sacred knowledge, the divine feminine, and the subconscious mind. In reversed, which I'll read you these, but I don't necessarily read cards as bad as reversed. It's either something you're resisting or something that's happening on a really deep level. So secrets, disconnected from intuition, withdrawal, and silence. So what that is that's the resistance. Okay, so we're going to go here. The High Priestess definition. The High Priestess sits in front of a thin veil with pomegranates. The veil represents the separate conscious and subconscious realms, the seen and the unseen, and serves to keep the casual onlookers out. Only the initiated may enter. So here is what I'm recalling about some of the other decks. Some of the other tarot decks that I've seen, the High Priestess has a veil on where you could only see her eyes. You can see her face through it, but it's sheer. Okay? So that might be what they're talking about here. The veil represents the separate conscious and subconscious realms. And to me, that is the balance between inner and outer. And then we were talking about Persephone and Hades, that the balance between we have external time, and then we have internal time, and that we need a balance of both in order to have a good life. So the veil represents the separate conscious and subconscious realms, the seen and the unseen, and serves to keep casual onlookers out. Only the initiated may enter. The pomegranates on the veil are a symbol of abundance and fertility in the divine feminine, and are sacred to Persephone, who ate a pomegranate seed in the underworld and was forced to return every year. I guess I have better memory than I thought. On either side of the High Priestess stand two pillars marking the entrance to the sacred mystical temple, also associated with the Temple of Solomon. One pillar is black with the letter B. Boaz is what the B means on that, meaning in his strength. And the other is white with the letter J, Joaquin, meaning he will establish. Now, I'm a little annoyed by that because of all the he's, but I'll let it pass for now. Okay. Because you know that a lot of this stuff was interpreted in a patriarchal sort of way. That does not mean that that masculine energy has no place, because it really does. And so the combination of those and the blending of those has every place. Everywhere we're soaking in it. All right, so the black and white colors of the pillars symbolize duality, masculine and feminine, darkness and light, stating that knowledge and acceptance of duality are required to enter this sacred space, and understanding that there's a balance. The high priestess wears a blue robe with a cross on her chest and a horn diadem, which is the crown, as both a symbol of her divine knowledge and that her status as a divine ruler. In her lap, she holds a scroll with the letter Torah, signifying the greater law, according to weight. It is partially covered, signifying that this sacred knowledge is both explicit and implicit. It will only be revealed when the student is ready to look beyond the material realm. The crescent moon at her feet symbolizes her connection with the divine feminine, her intuition and subconscious mind, and the natural cycles of the moon. So I thought this was pretty cool. This was only one version of what it means. So here's another version of what it means. And to me, it's like you're pregnant with knowledge. It's like you now have access. You now have access to your knowledge within, your knowledge of everything within. And it is now time. It's okay to access it, but you may need to be still, and you may need to get quiet within in order to access it. You may have to, because she's more of an internalized, intuitive type of energy, you may have to step back as like a nun or a priestess. It's time to, it shows you that it might be time for you to step back into the temple a little bit and get quiet. So this is from that. The other one was from the Biddy Tarot. This is from Labyrinthos, LabyrinthoS, and I might only read part of it. The High Priestess meaning, the Major Arcana Tarot meanings. Okay, boop, 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 boop. She can be seen as archetypes of Persephone, Artemis, Isis, and more. When you encounter her, you will see her sitting on a cubic stone between two pillars at Solomon's temple, Yakin and Boaz. Yakin is generally referred to as the pillar of establishment, and Boaz is the pillar of strength. The pillars depict the duality of nature, masculine and feminine, good and evil, negative and positive, which, again, with all the polarization going on in the world, we could find a better way to interpret that. The High Priestess's location between the two suggests that it is her responsibility to serve as a mediator between the depths of reality. She is the third pillar, the path between. She's the third pillar, the path between. That's pretty good. She believes that both pillars are equal and there is knowledge to be learned in both worlds. You will also notice that she wears a crown of Isis, which can mean that she is a believer of magic. The High Priestess wearing the solar cross denotes that she is connected to the season of the earth and the earth itself. The crescent moon at her feet is seen also in many depictions of the Virgin Mary and means that she has a complete grasp over her emotions, and the pomegranates refer to the ambition of the priestess. So it's related to inner knowledge. It's related to us having that inner knowledge and having access to it, as I said. So let's look at some of the other versions of the High Priestess in some of the other tarot decks that I have. There are zillions of tarot decks and zillions of interpretations of the imagery on all of these decks. A lot of them have maybe one commonality going through it, and some of them just completely look wackadoodle and different than you imagine, but apparently have the same meaning. As far as picking tarot decks, you'll know which one is yours. I know which one's mine. I know which one I like to use the most. My favorite deck is called the Eileen Connolly deck, and I have her somewhere, and I don't know where she is right now, but it is my favorite one, and she's somewhere. So, or I would show you her High Priestess. but I don't think I'm meant to have her right now. I don't know. Maybe she's decided that I'm done. I'm not sure. But so back to that. This high priestess is from the what is it called? This was gifted to me from a friend and a tarot reader as well, the Marigold Tarot. And I think what's funny is it was gifted to her as well, but she didn't resonate with it, and she decided that she would like to give it to me. This is the High Priestess in theirs. Now you see there's a slight difference. There are no pillars. There is a moon over her head. They are holding a pomegranate in one hand and flowers in the other, which would represent the pomegranate represents the underworld, and the flowers would represent the upper world. They are wearing a robe, and I think there are the lotus blossoms around the edges there. But you can see that this doesn't have as much of the same symbolism, but they are kind of floating in a starry sky, which does denote the unconscious. A little dust. It's dust. Oh yeah, I even felt it. It was dust. No ghosts today online like the last one. We'll see. Anyway, so you've got, let me look closer. All right, so what are these wreaths here? I'm trying to look at what the garlands are, and I'm not recognizing the plant. But anyway, there's not the same type of symbolism, but we've still got, like I said, the starry sky. It really indicates the unconscious mind. And as they are kind of floating in it, that is where they are, floating in the unconscious mind. To me, the High Priestess is pregnant with knowledge and nurturing that knowledge and expanding that knowledge and allowing that knowledge to grow, because in the next card gives birth to it. So that's kind of, to me, what the High Priestess is. Now we've got the Blooming Cat Tarot. And this is the High Priestess. So we've got the book. It doesn't say it is the Torah. We've got, okay, there's the number 2. We've got a pomegranate. She does have the crown of Isis. She does have the, they do have the columns, the 2 columns of Boaz and Jakim. And they have a cross. And what kind of flowers are around her neck? They're really beautiful. Oh, I wish I could just recognize what kind of flowers they were. But anyway, so this is the Kitty High Priestess. She's lovely. And it's still, the general feel of the card denotes balance and knowledge, wisdom and knowledge, and it's very reverent, which is a priestess move. And you know, we can walk through our lives in priestess mode, even doing mundane things. Even having reverence for doing the dishes, having reverence for planting, having reverence. I have reverence for the cats I feed. You know, it's all in how you approach it. And with the High Priestess, she approaches life as everything is spiritual and everything is kind of a ritual. Not a ritual where there are all these rules and dogma or anything like that, but that there is wisdom and knowledge to be gleaned and to be acquired and to be nurtured in everything. Your breath, the way that your blood pulses through your veins, the way your organs work, your muscles, your tendons, your every cell of every bit of your being and beyond has wisdom in it. And that's the High Priestess. That's what she knows. That's what she gets to know. So I pulled another deck, and this was a tarot deck that some of the cards, some of the people, it's like a public figure tarot deck. It's the New Wave New Wave deck. And I like Susie as High Priestess. I think that's pretty awesome. I think that works fine. I think that works fine. There were one of the other cards in particular in this deck was just way too on the nose. I love New Wave, and I'm very into Goth and New Wave, and and the figures in it. So Susie from Susie and the Banshees, pretty perfection as High Priestess. Um, but they chose Ian Curtis from Joy Division as the Hanged Man. To me, that was a little bit too on the nose because that's how he passed. So, yeah, it makes sense, but yeah, is it a little insensitive? And for some reason, I'm all for that, but for some reason that went too far for me. So you won't be seeing that as an example of the Hangman card when we get there, and that's card number 12. We've still got 10 to go. So this is Susie, and let me look at the card a little bit closer. So we've got the stars, which is the unconscious, and we've got her doing her pose, and she has a beautiful Isis crown. What's interesting about this crown as well is that this is a crown with a cobra on the front of it as well. So it's a little bit more ornate than the other crown of Isis that we've seen in the other decks. And we've got the columns, but they do not have the initials B and J on them. And they're also 2 black columns instead of 1 black and 1 white. So you can see how the different authors will interpret things differently, just like different readers will interpret things differently. Now, I've saved the Starman deck, which is the Bowie-inspired deck, for last. And this is because this deck has a tendency to be kind of out there and not follow along, which is good because that's Bowie all over, is to not follow along with the other deck in the norm. This is the back of the Starman deck. And here is the High Priestess there. And this is beautiful. It is incredible, multi-layered, intensely multi-layered. I could probably barely scratch the surface of all the layers in this particular deck. So here she is. And now I'm going to look closer at her and see if I can make sense of her. Well, one thing is this is the knowledge behind her. And it is as if she is protecting the knowledge. So she is the keeper of the wisdom and the knowledge. All right? So that's one thing. Let's go here. I see that aside from this stuff up here, she is connected with the earth. You see these mossy rocks, and she's definitely connected with the earth there. So there's the balance of the earth and the sky. We've got these here, which I think represent the columns between the two. Now let's look and see what's going on up here. Pretty sure that this is a representation, this right here is a representation of some sort of spacecraft or universal knowledge. This could be part of the crescent moon because I'm not seeing it anywhere else. So some of the symbolism is similar, but I think she's giving more of a vibe of protecting the knowledge. Look at the gray hair. Woo, woo, woo. You know what that is? That's my antenna. Did you know that that's my antenna? That's my antenna. That she's protecting the knowledge. Let me look at her wing. So one arm has the wing of, it looks like an eagle or a hawk. Could be an owl. And there's a snake. Wow. There's a snake actually literally going through her right here. And there's even blood. And then she has an opening right here. That is her sacral chakra, which is creativity and union. uh, that's a fiery one. Passion, creativity, union. If it was up a little higher, it would be her solar plexus chakra, but it is not. It is, however, not. So, like I said, there are all these layers on here. Let's see what we can dig into. Oh, I love that she has high heels on. That's interesting. But okay, this priestess can wear high heels and rock them. So that's very, very good. But I love this I love this deck and these cards, and I think that they're very, very beautiful. And like I said, they do not correspond with some of the other. I just noticed a person over here and something over here. Okay, we're going to go farther in. Okay, so there is a person on one side and a tetrahedron on the other. And wow, okay, so up here is more of Earth, looks like the top of a tree. So you see the person and then a tetrahedron, and there's information or energy going through on both. So this is the balance of the Earth and the cosmos, and how they blend together. And yeah, this is a pretty intense card. God, there's more snakes. Guys, there's tons of snakes. Lots of snakes here. All snakes. All snakes all the time. Transformation. Transmutation. Power. Kundalini. Bing, bang, boom. So, she is protecting that magic. She is that magic, but she is also protecting that wisdom and magic. So I think that that is an incredible. Ooh, that was 27 minutes on the High Priestess, which is kind of cool. And we will be back the next time with the Empress, which is going to be very nice. So what happens is we've got the Fool, launches off, trust that everything will be okay. The Fool is the beginning and the end. And then we have the Magician, which germinates the seed that the Fool planted, gathers all the energy, realizes he has all the tools, gathers all the tools available, funds the energy and pierces it and germinates that seed with the divine masculine energy. And then the Priestess, who gathers all the wisdom that's needed and becomes pregnant with that idea and with that goal or with that wish or with that dream, and does all the research and also has the reverence and protects it while it's growing, while she's accumulating that wisdom. She is the protectress of it. Then we will go into the Empress, and it becomes kind of a coming out party in a way. So I love you guys. I'm glad that you watched. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for being patrons, and we'll keep going. And as I promised you, will get a card on a video on how to cleanse yourself energetically. See you later.